So he was the kind of man that was always smiling, always very happy, massive smile on his face. And he was kind of known for that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And a joker, and not even really rubbish dad jokes, quite funny ones. We were always going on holiday every year, so then we had lots of, sorry, no sleep. Can we stop it? We got there and we checked into a hotel, and then we went out that evening for dinner on the river, which was really nice. The next day, it is hard to describe because you're on autopilot and you're trying not to think about too much, like what's going to happen next, because you can't. Because if you were thinking like that, I don't think you'd be able to deal with it. This is what we've got to do now. This is what we're going to do now. And then before you know it, it's kind of done. And then you're like, right, we've done it. And there is a sense of relief because you know it's what they want so much. And it's kind of by that point what you want so much for them. And then you're kind of in a little bit of a lost space. The next day you're kind of like, what do we do? And we went on a big bus tour and like had a look around Switzerland, Zurich. And then the next day we went home, and that was quite difficult because you're checking in and they ask, oh, have you got another person travelling with you? And I just said no, and they didn't obviously ask anymore. But then you have the journey home, empty seat with you, those kind of things are quite hard. I know for my dad, he was happy just to know that he'd made it to the country, because the actual journey, making the journey there when he was so unwell was really hard, very hard, but he was just so happy. Like once he got off the plane, he felt like, right, I'm here. It's going to happen, because the lead up to it, because everything does take quite a while to get all the papers in place, you're kind of doing a race against time, because like slowly, weekly, he was getting, you know, more ill, literally every week. And to actually do the assisted suicide, you have to be able to swallow the barbiturates, otherwise you can't do it. So this is, I think, the last Christmas, and me and my sister Joanne just went for a long walk over to the park, which is quite nice, but you can tell in his face that he's not well. He would have been a great granddad because he was so good with children. So that's a shame. You know, children put, who's that, and so she knows it's granddad, so she'll point to a photo and say like granddad or grandpa. So we started knowing who he was early, because I'd always want her to know, and I would tell her, you know, what happened when it's the right time, really. When you've got to help someone, especially someone you love, then you just do it, don't ya? I think there's not so much of a stigma surrounding it anymore, with certain groups of people, like church people, very religious people. So I don't think it's that so much. I just think we just have to keep pushing for the laws to slowly change, which is happening. but it's just not happening quick enough for some people, or a lot of people. And the law's just, but law is a very hard thing to change, and especially when there's so many things, you know, it has to be done right to work, and there'd have to be so many things in place to make sure that it worked properly, but I do believe that we could get there eventually. Just even, you know, changing the law so people aren't even looked at to be prosecuted when they've helped somebody is a start, rather than it, you know, coming into the country, which I hope it does at some point, but I appreciate that that could be a long way off. I mean, the way they do it in Switzerland, it's not easy. You don't just rock up and, like, you have to have so much paperwork and things in place to do it, and, you know, the police come along, like the police know where you should be just enjoying your last months or whatever with that person. It's all about making sure you got this and done that and wrote this letter, and so you had to write things like life CVs to send to them, and a request to die letter and things like that had to all be, you shouldn't be sitting there doing stuff like that. My message, it was right for us. It was definitely 100% right for my dad. And I would want, you know, the rest of the people in the world, whether you're for it or against it, you know, I do believe everyone's got their own choices, but if you see somebody else making that kind of choice, if you don't agree, then it's that person's choice. I would want the law here to be changed. And, you know, we went through a lot trying to get my dad to a different country. If it could have happened in his own home with his loved ones around him, then that would have been amazing. You know, it could happen a lot nicer if you could do it, you know, with the people that you love around you.